It's the Sick Podcast, Marinero, brought to you by Cherry River Hard Seltzer. Only 90 calories, natural flavors, no preservatives. Now available in Quebec grocery stores and at the beer store. Joining me, he is the number one NFL insider in the world, Ian Rappaport from the NFL Network. How you doing, bud?
It's been quite a day, man, but I'm hanging in there. What's going on?
Ian, last weekend was the best weekend of professional sports, or at least that one league has delivered in the same weekend for me that I've ever watched my entire life. I still can't get over all the games, especially the game, of course, between the Bills and the Chiefs. I have to ask you, when was the last time you watched a playoff game that good?
I mean, I don't know. I really don't. And I mean, forget about one game. How about 4 games? It was crazy because, the first game comes down to the last play and it's at the goal line and there's the pick. And I'm like, okay, like this is immediately going to be better than last week. And then they all were like that. I mean, I love football. I really love football, but I have sort of trained myself, for better or worse, to just sit there and just kind of watch without reacting because I've spent 10 years in a press box and that's just what you do. And I was like yelling at my TV at the end of the Bills Chiefs game. It was amazing. I mean, this was incredible football. And I mean, that game was one of the best I've ever seen. And, I think they both deserve to advance. It kind of sucks that they didn't, but I think it's shaping up to be a great weekend this weekend as well.
You're right, especially Josh Allen. It really pained me to see that he could not advance because what more could he have done? So which begs the question, the overtime rule, Ian Rappaport, in your world, does that rule change, and will it?
I know they're going to consider it. I would say that's definitely one of those things that's going to be discussed during the offseason. And anytime there's a big event, anytime there's something that warrants the kind of discussion that, that happened after that, I think the NFL Competition Committee will look at it. It's important to remember when the NFL makes changes, they happen slowly. Like we all want things to happen fast. The NFL wants things to happen slow. So there were the original diehards who didn't want to go away from the sudden death at all. And then you kind of got a little bit of movement with both teams need to touch the ball unless one scores a touchdown. Now we may see it like both teams need to have a possession. And I know when they were originally considering the changes, it was about lessening the time of, the players are on the field to minimize injuries. They've done a good job with that already. I could definitely see them saying, you know what, let's just make sure both teams get a possession.
If you'd like to have a Josh Allen jersey or a Pat Mahomes jersey or any player, any team in the National Football League or any sport for that matter, sportbuffshop.com for all of your officially licensed sports apparel and our Sick merchandise as well. Use code SICK15 for 15% off on all of their items. All right, so earlier today, the Denver Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett as their new head coach. Since he came from the Packers, do you think that Aaron Rodgers will follow?
I think if Aaron Rodgers goes anywhere, it will be the Broncos. I just don't know that he is actually going anywhere. So I would say this, like Rodgers has all options on the table. He has not made a decision yet. Among the things that he could do, retire. I mean, he's 38. He talks like someone who at least is strongly considering retirement, I would say. Definitely strongly considering it. He could come back to the Packers and look, I mean, the season ended badly, but I think it's clear they have worked on the relationship. They have tried. It has gotten to a good place, and they had a good product on the field. He didn't play great at the end, but I think the team is in a good place. Or he could go to them and kind of invoke what they said when they redid his contract, which was, in good faith, let's work on something to send me to a different place. They could do that, and I think Denver would be the place. I just don't know that that's the most realistic option right now.
Speaking of a coaching hire, the Bears have their guy?
The Bears do have their guy. It is Matt Eberflus, the Indianapolis Colts defensive coordinator. And, if you watch the Colts defense, you know how nasty that unit is. You know how tough they are. You know how physical they are. That is the kind of thing that Chicago wants to bring. And they've always had a good defense. Last year they did too. But this is sort of next level. I mean, you watch Darius Leonard on the field punch the ball out like he's Peanut Tillman. Now his coach is going to where Peanut Tillman made the peanut punch famous. Still about the quarterbacks. He's got to have a plan there. But I would say, that's going to end up being a pretty good hire for the Chicago Bears. Hopefully for them, they've done this a couple times now.
All right. You talked about it being a busy day, and Big Ben Roethlisberger officially announced his retirement earlier today. Look, we all knew it was coming. So let me ask you this. How much do you think he influenced the game?
I think he made all of us look at what a mobile quarterback is and kind of reevaluate it, right? Because he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Michael Vick, but he is as mobile as they come in the pocket, mobile to throw, moving around to find targets down the field. I mean, I'm not going to say he invented that, but he definitely perfected it. And then, I mean, anytime you watch him, you knew that the Steelers were in the game. Down, 14 in the fourth quarter, like Ben's got a chance. He was fun to watch. He was, one of the winningest quarterbacks in Steelers history. He was one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history when, it came down to the end, fourth quarter overtime. He had a great career. We knew it was going to be goodbye, so this makes sense. And a really nice send-off for Roethlisberger.
Coach Sean Payton of the New Orleans Saints has walked away. You think he'll ever come back to the National Football League, or is this usually when you walk away, this is it?
No, I think I think that this will probably we'll probably see him again. I know he's going to take probably a year hiatus, and then he's going to hang over every single coaching hire that is made for the now until eternity until he takes a job. Everything about Mike McCarthy, he's going to hang over that. So, I would say it's certainly going to be fun listening to him on media, whatever he chooses, whether it's Fox or Amazon or ESPN or who knows, NFL Network maybe, who knows. But when it comes down to coaches, possibly being hired, I would say his name is going to lord over everything.
Dan Quinn has decided to stay in Dallas. Do you think he stayed in the eventuality that he's going to be the head coach one day?
I don't know about eventuality, but I would say possibility. He loved the Denver job. I think there was a lot to like. The fact that he didn't get it probably hurt. Now obviously he didn't get Chicago too, and then he pulled out, so he still had a chance there. But like I would say it's probably a big win for the Cowboys. And there's, a lot of moves that will affect teams, head coach and coordinator, whatever. That might be the one that affects the team the most. I mean, his defense did great. He's a leader. The players love him. Is a possibility if something happens to Mike McCarthy. So that was a very consequential move, I would say, this morning. Mixed signals from Tom Brady. It's incredible right now here. There's two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We don't know what their future is. So Tom Brady, it's rather simple. Either he retires or he stays in the game. If he stays in the game, does he stay in Tampa or does he move on to another team? Which of the three is it? I think he stays in Tampa or retires. Now, retirement, listening to his words, it sounds like a real possibility. I mean, it really does. Like, I'm just judging from what he said, how his wife wants him to retire. He's going to make a decision that's best for his family. I mean, there's, when you start talking like that, I can sort of sense which way it's going to go. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying if Tom Brady retired, I would not be surprised. I would also say this. Why would he keep playing? He's 44. He's still healthy. He hadn't had a major injury for about 10 years. I would say, this was, if I were him and you have nothing more to prove and you have 7 Super Bowls, I would step away too. All right. 2 games left. Chiefs, Bengals. What do you got? I think everyone probably thinks the Chiefs are going to win. I love the Bengals and I know they can score with them and their defense is going to get in the way enough. So I feel like, I'm not saying the Bengals are going to win, but I think it's going to be a great game and they're going to have a shot at the end. 49ers, Rams. I think it'll be the Rams. I mean, 49ers have had an incredible run and they're so physical and they made it so tough for the Rams in the past. Just standing there, tackling everything. I would say it's going to be a tough game, but the Rams are too explosive. They look like a team that's headed to the Super Bowl. They went all in, so all those trades are going to pay off. I think it ends up being the Rams. You know what? I don't mind who wins, but I'd love to see a Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl. I have to tell you that because of the offense, obviously. Hey, this has been fun, and we'll talk about it next week. We'll see next week. There's only going to be 2 teams standing, and you and I will discuss it. Cheers, bud. All right, cheers. I'll see you in Mobile. That's where I'll be from next week, so it'll be fun. I look forward to it. All right, Adam Rank. Let's get to him. My man, #1 fantasy football expert in the world.
Hey, what's going on? I was waiting for where's my intro?
What's going on with you as well? I get the #1 fantasy football expert in the world. from the NFL Network. Do we have an intro coming up, Sammy? Yes. 5.
No, it's fine.
4.
I don't need it. I don't
3,
need it.
2, 1.
Fantasy Ranks with Adam Rank.
Look at that. See
that's
that?
better. That's what I demand.
That was him. Hey, Adam Rank with the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank for all your Chicago Bears news and scoops and rumors and football talk and all of that stuff. And of course, you can find it on all the social media channels. All right, so the Bears. Let's start with them. Their coach, Matt Eberflus.
Yes, sir.
The right hire? Yes or no? And why wouldn't you? And Ian liked the hire, but why wouldn't you want someone more offensive minded if the guy you're going to build around is going to be your quarterback, Justin Fields?
Somebody offensive minded, somebody like Mark Trestman or Matt Nagy, or somebody like, I mean, they've gone that route previously. It did not turn into anything. And I think now it's actually probably a good thing that they have the head coach, because the head coach just needs to be the head coach.
Yeah.
I don't think that when you have these inexperienced play callers, it's good for them just to be the CEO and let the guys who are going to be the coordinators dive into what they're doing. Now with Eberflus, I wouldn't mind if he was controlling the defense, because if you look at the Colts since 2018, they are 10th in total points, 10th in yards allowed. They're 4th in rushing yards allowed. But the most significant thing, since 2018, they've had the second most takeaways of any defense. Darius Leonard, of course, came in there and developed into an all-pro linebacker. I really love that part of it. And I think that as long as the offensive coordinator who is coming in is the right guy, and I know that there's probably going to be a lot of sentiment that perhaps Jim Caldwell could come in. He was obviously interviewing for the head coaching position, but did not get it. Personally, I don't know if Jim Caldwell would settle to be offensive coordinator, but I would like that. So I think that this is pretty good. I think this is, listen, I know there's a lot of other names. I know people love Brian Daboll and Brian Flores and everything like that, but I think Eberflus deserves an opportunity to be the head coach, and I think this is going to work out pretty well.
Adam, what a game we watched last week. I mean, what a great weekend it was, but that one game in particular with the Bills at the Chiefs, I mean, there's two pities in that one. Number one was that there was a loser, and especially that Josh Allen had to be on the losing end was very unfortunate. And number two, the other pity is that wasn't the Super Bowl. Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen the Super Bowl yet, but it's hard, very, very hard to imagine that it's going to be able to top that. That was the greatest football game I've ever watched in my life. How about you?
100%. I think that the greatest game ever played was what, a 1958, not Ravens, Colts Giants. Like, nobody watched that game. Okay. Stop talking about that as the greatest game ever. To me, the previous greatest game before that was actually a Monday night game with two of the four teams left in the tournament so far. It was that Chiefs-Rams game from the Coliseum with Jared Goff in the yellow uniforms, the color rush and everything. That was amazing. That to me was the greatest game I had ever seen until Sunday night. And we really didn't deserve it. You know, going into that game, I had joked because the three previous games were so good that you're like, you know what? Like we're owed a blowout. And unfortunately, I could see this weekend being like one of those weekends, like one of these games will be a dud or something like that. But it was incredible. There was nothing more that you could ask. Like, even if you just watched the last 2 minutes of that game. Yeah. And I know that was a big NBA thing. Like, I'll just catch the last 2 minutes. That's all I need to see. There was a little sentiment of that with that game. But yeah, it's unfortunate that Josh Allen didn't get another opportunity. I think Kyle Brandt was talking about it on Good Morning Football. Like, imagine watching a baseball game and the visiting team, it's in extra innings. The visiting team comes up and scores a run. They're like, okay, that's it. We're done. We're not going to let Mike Trout or Ohtani come up and try to win it. Like, we're calling
crazy.
it now.
It's a crazy rule. I get it. I think I read somewhere that Pat Mahomes threw for like 177 yards in the final 2 minutes. It's absolutely insane. And to think that he got them in field goal range in like, they said 13 seconds, but it was actually 9 out of 13 or whatever it was. It's pretty amazing as well. Hey, I want to talk to you about my treadmill for 1 second. You're going to understand why. My Matrix T75 treadmill that I love so much, matrixhomefitness.ca is the website. Bring it home. Discover a club quality workout in the comfort of your own home and visit matrixhomefitness.ca. They have absolutely fantastic cardio equipment. The reason why I bring it up is, how much time do you think one would have to spend on a treadmill to run like Tyreek Hill? My God, did you see him run?
It's impossible. It's impossible. He is literally, not figuratively, a cheetah. Like, something happened along the way. No human being should be able to run that fast, especially in full pads on a football field. Like that guy just couldn't be stopped. And then you think about like Derrick Henry.
That's like Olympics fast.
100%.
It's unbelievable. We're talking about, chances are he probably hasn't had, I don't know, an Olympics coach or whatever, like a track and field. Maybe he has, I don't know, but he looked like a track and field runner.
100%. There was nothing about that was anything short of extraordinary. And you talk about like tackling a guy like Derrick Henry, who moves really well too. But like with Derrick, I don't know, my limited football knowledge and playing time, running into a guy like Derrick Henry hurts, obviously, but those fast guys, like moving at seemingly the speed of light, those were always the guys that kind of stuck with you, and why I wanted to play offense all the time instead of trying to tackle those guys.
All right. There's a discussion right now going on about whether or not he's like a Hall of Fame wide receiver. Is it too early to say that, or would a second Super Bowl ring cement it?
No, it's a little too early. I think that we've seen some big-time wide receivers still waiting to get the call. Torrey Holt comes to mind. Who else? Reggie Wayne is going to be on the list. Andrew John. Yeah. Andre Johnson.
Yeah.
There's some good guys who are available for the Hall of Fame this year. Hines Ward is still waiting. Hines Ward was a Super Bowl MVP. There's a chance he doesn't get into the Hall of Fame. So I think that to say that he's a Hall of Famer already is a little bit too premature, but he's had a pretty significant run.
Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs, and I think he was quoted as saying that stadiums in college football are actually louder than they are in the National Football League. I would imagine that it's going to be pretty loud at Arrowhead. I don't know if you need any extra motivation at this point. Do the Chiefs need any or not? And can they actually be, as much as they are on an emotional high?
Yeah.
Will they have anything, is there a danger that they might be missing something, you think, against the Bengals because they laid it all on the line to beat the Bills? You get my question, right?
100%. Yeah. There is something to be said about how much emotional energy you expend. I think if you look at the Raiders in their game against the Cincinnati Bengals, there was a noticeable decline a little bit from the energy of knocking off the Chargers.
Yeah.
And that miracle of a win, the whole theatrics of should they just play for the tie or anything like that. So I say that there is something to that. The only thing is Andy Reid, of course, is a veteran coach. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, these guys, Tyreek Hill, these guys have been there before.
Been there, done that.
But there is something to that. And I think I love Joe Burrow, and I'm glad he came out and said what he had to say. Like playing in the SEC, he's dealt with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I like his attitude. This is what we get from the 12 tenors. And what I mean by that is his birthday is the same as mine, December 10th.
Yeah.
So if you want to mark that down,
yes,
and keep that in case, and I wear a large.
I'll send you some Cherry River.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Give me a scenario where you see the Bengals beating the Chiefs. How does it go down?
I don't know how it went down a couple of weeks ago. I mean, the Bengals have already beaten this team. Like they've done it. They've proven it. And whenever you have a team that is now playing with house money, it is like the guy at the casino that hit it big already early, and now the chips can just fly. And you start throwing out the black chips, you're doubling down, you're splitting tens, you're doing whatever. You're playing crazy. And I think the Bengals have that kind of luxury right now. Nobody's expecting them to win. Even though they defeated the Chiefs a couple of weeks ago, the questions are now like, can they do it? Like, I mean, I thought they kind of proved it. And Joe Burrow, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about this, like, like we were talking about, or even last week, I think it was, talking about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. And we were saying, or at least I was saying, at some point, Joe Burrow is going to enter this conversation. We thought it would be next year.
Yes.
Why not now? Why not now? He's 6-0 in playoff games. If you go back to his time in college, he won the Fiesta Bowl. Of course, he won the national championship. Like, he knows what he's doing. Like,
he's a phenom.
These moments do not bother him.
Yeah.
So I think it's very plausible. I'm going to be picking the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's going with my heart a little bit, but I think that they're going to do it.
Wow. All right. Okay. And 49ers Rams?
Yeah, I'm going to go 49ers still. I listen to Ian, and I agree with a lot of what Ian says. And that's an NWO team built for this. This is why they're all here. Guys who've won Super Bowls before. You look at Von Miller, who's been a Super Bowl MVP. That means a lot to that team. I still think that I don't know. I'm leaning towards Kyle Shanahan. This team's been disrespected. It would make perfect sense for this team that was down 17-0, who rallied just to get into the playoffs, faces that team again, beats them, goes to the Super Bowl. My perfect scenario, though, and I know the 49er fans have been on my side for the last couple of years that we've now made amends.
Yeah.
I want the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, and I want them to beat the 49ers. So all the boomers, all the 40 and 50-year-olds who had their childhood ruined, Chris Collinsworth, Boomer Esiason, Ken Anderson, all those guys can now finally have like a moment of peace where they've beaten the 49ers once and for all, and they can go out and celebrate a Super Bowl championship.
Follow his podcast, The Sick Podcast with Adam Rank.
We're going to talk about the Bears hire.
Yeah.
So make sure you're joining us. We got JJ Stakovitz. We got Johnny LaQuasto. We got to get you on there sometime. But yeah, big day for the Bears. So please join the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank as we break down the latest Bears news, including the coaching hire of Matt Eberflus.
Consider it done, but we'll talk to you soon. I know someone else who sees the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I bet you. He hasn't even given his picks yet, but he is like the president of the fan club. I think the last time he was on, he was actually even wearing a 49ers cap. Let's go to him. Do we have our guy?
Yes, you do.
Ash, what's going on, man?
What's happening, Tony?
I thought about you last week because I was about to text you that you were wrong on the 49ers, and then all of a sudden there's a turnover, and then they're in the end zone, and then they win that game on that last second field goal. And I'm thinking about you, man, you must have been smiling last week with your 49ers. I think you had like 5 units on them.
That we did 5 units on that, but that's not even the most important part about that game. The most important part was the 49ers winning, just because of the sheer load that we have on the future ticket on the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. Now, I gave out the 49ers on a Super Bowl pick, and quite a few of you guys actually messaged me on Twitter because I gave out the Super Bowl pick a few weeks ago, and I gave it at the beginning of the season. A lot of you guys were asking, what do I do with the ticket? Do I start hedging? What do I do? Here's the correct answer, guys. You don't hedge until they make the Super Bowl. If they make the Super Bowl, you cut your profit in 50%, but you guarantee a massive return. So if you got 20,000 example to total payout on the Super Bowl, you're going to bet 10,000 against them and you're going to guarantee a $10,000 profit. However, this week, my honest recommendation, if you have a massive ticket on the 49ers, you do not bet this game. You pray to God, you hope to God that they win. I think they will. I will take them plus 3.5. A lot of my clients don't have the future pick. They will get plus 3.5, but you do not bet this game if you have a future. There's already way too much leverage on it. Why do I like the 49ers, future tickets aside? Guys, one game is anything can happen in one game. There's a lot of variance, but they've won 6 straight. They match up well with the Rams. I think they're going to beat them. They get down, they pound the ball. Deebo Samuel is an absolute X factor. Everyone's talking about Mahomes and Josh Allen, deservedly so, but Deebo Samuel is special. This guy is an MVP caliber player. He's going to show up. He's going to play well. Jimmy G against the Rams, guys. Jimmy G's been getting so much hate. Everyone's been bashing this guy all the time about the bad throws. Troy Aikman on the broadcast bashing him every 2 seconds. He shows up against the Rams, and I think he's going to show up this weekend. Give me the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Guys, one more pick. Chiefs, Bengals. I like the total going over. It sounds square. Everyone's going to be doing it. It's super high. I think it's up to 55 now. Pound it anyways. You guys saw what happened last game. It was looking like a dead under game. Field goals were getting kicked. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 minutes, they scored over 3 touchdowns. Guys, get me the over 55 points. As far as the side goes, I don't have a lean yet. I like the Chiefs to win, but I can't lay 7 yet. Maybe I will at the end of the week. I'm not sure. Message me on Instagram. But here we go, guys. 49ers to get the job done, to get us in the Super Bowl. Let's go.
49ers to get to the Super Bowl and over 55 in the game featuring Joe Burrow going up against Pat Mahomes. He's cash. I'm Marinaro. Usually when I talk, I get paid. It's the Sick Podcast. Enjoy your football. Talk to you again next week. Salute.